Welcome to Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks, a show that provides extraordinary insights for product managers who want to go faster and farther in their product management careers.
Hello, this is JJ Rory, Vice President at Sequent Learning Networks. In our Masters of Product Management podcast, we tap into the experiences of people who work in and around product management to help you learn and grow in your product management career. I spend a lot of time with product managers. I was a product manager myself for many years, and in many ways, I still am, managing and optimizing Sequent's product management training and coaching products. I led teams of product managers, and now I train, advise, and coach product managers all over the world. I also work with many product leaders, and one question I get from both executives and product managers is, what makes a product manager great? I've spent a lot of time researching, benchmarking, going back in my experiences, talking to people in the product management community, and really trying to understand what makes product managers great. What's the difference between someone who's good at the role and someone who is exceptional at the role? And I've boiled it down to what I call the 5 immutable truths of great product managers. These traits are foundational and critical to success. Frankly, I do not believe a person can be a great product manager without perfecting these skills. So here are my 5 immutable truths of great product managers. Number 1, great product managers have an extremely high level of customer intelligence. Number 2, they are experts at building relationships. 3, they're master communicators. Number 4, they are good business people. And number 5, they are fanatical about prioritizing their time and efforts. Now, this may not seem groundbreaking. I am certainly not the first person to say product managers need to understand their customers or communicate ideas effectively. But while these truths may not be groundbreaking individually, when brought together under one person's skill set, they can be incredibly powerful. And again, it is my contention that all great product managers have these traits. In fact, I hope it is easy enough. I hope this isn't something that's so complicated that it makes it difficult for you to implement. So I do hope that it is easy enough, albeit with persistence and consistency, for you to implement these truths into your professional arsenal. Product management is riddled with complexity and chaos. My hope is that pursuing these truths in yourself does not add to that, but rather gives you a foundation to help you better navigate the demands of the role. No matter where you go in your product management career from here on out, if you have this foundation, you will be more likely to be successful. Let's talk about each of these truths. Number 1, great product managers have exceptional customer intelligence. There is simply no way to be successful in product management for the long term without a deep understanding of your customers. For a business or an individual to buy your product, it must solve some need or problem for them. There must be a tangible or intangible return on their investment. Customer intelligence is a profound interest in and recognition of your customers' characteristics, situations and market conditions, motivations and drivers, and ultimately, unmet needs. Customer characteristics, what is that? Well, it's things like, what are the demographics of your customers? For businesses, it's what is the structure of the organization? Are there various business units? What's the leadership hierarchy? What's their culture? Just generally understanding the basics of your customers. Situation and market conditions. What are the trends permeating the markets in which your customers do business? To what regulations must they adhere? What is that type of information that allows you to go a layer deeper into understanding your customers? What are their motivations and drivers? What are your customers' strategic pillars? What are their financial goals? What problems are they trying to solve for their customers? And finally, unmet needs. What keeps your customers up at night? What are the barriers that could keep them from reaching their strategic goals? If you think of all of those elements as a hierarchy, think of a pyramid where customer characteristics is on the bottom and is the most basic level of knowledge, then up to customer situations and market conditions, then moving up to their motivations and drivers. And finally, the top level is an understanding of unmet needs. Most product managers understand their customers' characteristics and to some extent market conditions and situations. But great product managers understand that plus their customers' motivations and their business drivers, and therefore they're more equipped to identify unmet needs. That is superior customer intelligence. And that can drive success in so many different ways for product managers. The second truth, great product managers are experts at building relationships. Good relationships with coworkers are critical for any product manager to be able to do their job effectively. Building relationships is not always easy. Some people are naturally gifted at creating relationships, and others find it quite difficult to create and sustain good, healthy relationships in the workplace. Great product managers do not leave this to chance. They are intentional about cultivating and sustaining mutually beneficial relationships. They put the work in and they reap the benefits that positive relationships bring to the table in our work environment. The elements that drive relationships in the business setting and specifically within product management are trust, open communication, and a shared understanding of the product vision. So if we work on these three things and driving these to successful outcomes, we typically are able to build those relationships that are so important to our daily job. Let's talk about mutual trust. Trust in this context often comes down to credibility. When a person trusts a coworker, they have confidence in them. They believe in their ability to deliver, and they can rely on them within the framework of collaborative work. Does your coworker trust that you understand the market, the product, and the business as a whole? Are you capable of making decisions and pointing the team in the right direction for success? After all, their work and credibility are on the line as well. They want to work on successful products. As a product manager, you are the steward of the product and often the face of the product team to others in the organization and to customers. Your partners need to trust that you will make good decisions and represent the product and the rest of the team well. You don't have to know everything about every function of the product to build credibility and trust. In fact, showing vulnerability and transparency about what you're an expert on and what you're not an expert on can help build a rapport with those of your partners who are experts. I personally am not a technical expert by education or experience. I've never written a line of code in my life, but I have built and worked on technical products over my career. My role was always more on the market and business side. And there was a time earlier in my career where I tried very hard to fake my level of technical acumen, thinking that I had to be this technical expert or I wouldn't have that credibility. And the truth is, once I was transparent about where I brought value and where I needed support for others, the better the team was able to leverage each other and the trust among the group grew. Part of building trust is having empathy for your coworkers and a mutual respect for the different skills, backgrounds, beliefs, work styles, etc. So again, be very transparent about where you should be bringing value and ultimately how you can reap the value and the expertise of others. That's where that trust is going to come in and to solidify. When we think about open communication being kind of the bedrock of good relationships, we understand that the best work relationships are between those people who can openly and constructively challenge each other in a way that is productive, in a way that brings new ideas and new ways of doing things. There's a book called Think Again by Adam Grant, which is a fabulous book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And he discusses the importance that conflict can have for high-performing teams. Now, a lot of people are adverse to conflict. I myself am one. I hate conflict. I try to avoid it. But he specifically talks about the difference in relationship conflict and task conflict. Relationship conflict is the personal, emotional battles about ideas or opinion. Task conflict entails debating over how to best accomplish something. As you can imagine, relationship conflict is not constructive and often even destructive, while task conflict can be quite beneficial. I've seen this firsthand in my work with organizations. When I'm conducting a workshop with a group of coworkers, I often start the session with a generic, feel free to interact with each other, discuss the findings across the teams, ask questions if you have them. I intentionally do not instruct them to question each other or anything of the sort. I want to see what their natural interaction patterns are. The best teams are those that can comfortably challenge and probe others' theories and engage in active dialogue about how something might work best. When I see the groups do this, I know they have relationships that allow for this type of interaction. This is an indicator of strong relationships. And finally, one of the foundations of strong relationships in the workplace is a shared understanding of the product vision. Few things can derail good relationships like misaligned expectations. As product manager, you should have a vision for where you want the product to go. That vision should be steadfast, clear, and easily communicated to your partners. And just like you expect the executives in your organization to lay out a vision and a plan on where the organization is headed, your cross-functional partners are looking to you to paint the picture of where you all collectively will be driving the product. The execution details may be malleable, but the vision should be firm. Your responsibility is to consistently communicate the vision, the plan to achieve that vision, and then how everyone plays a part and collaborate very keenly on how you're going to move forward. But hopefully you have that vision very clear in your mind, and then you can communicate it to everyone else. Then that shared understanding of where we're going will be in everyone's minds. And ultimately, that's going to lead to some of that credibility and lead to the influence that will drive better relationships. The third truth: great product managers are master communicators. Now, this does not mean you have to be comfortable standing up in front of 20,000 people giving a keynote. If you are, great, more power to you. Great PMs do, however, need to be able to perfect the art of storytelling and be able to adjust their communication to their audience. The best product managers are great storytellers. They invoke emotion and connection by conveying the reasons behind the product vision and the decisions and actions taken to drive that vision. They draw from their deep customer and market intelligence to craft the narrative around the customers, their lives, work, challenges, goals, environments, in a way that allows internal stakeholders to really grasp the why behind the what. Stories promote a connection and have an emotional impact on the audience. Search storytelling on the internet, and you'll find numerous posts on how to train a sales force on storytelling techniques. While we don't necessarily think of ourselves as salespeople, the truth is product managers sell every day. We sell ideas, we sell visions, we sell investments. As product managers, we live in this sea of data. And, whether it's development hours or revenue or user statistics to capacity planning, data is a part of our jobs every single day. But what happens with good product managers is that we focus too much on the facts and figures and the data, whereas the great product managers will take that data and craft it into a narrative. They'll tell the story and get the emotion going. They'll connect the people, the business, with the information, and they'll more engage the audience into what we're actually trying to do. Okay. Now, speaking of our different audiences, if you're like most product managers, you've probably had a scenario where you're in a meeting with your engineering partners and you're so down deep in the minutia of features and technologies and other details. And then the very next meeting, you had to turn around and talk strategy with the leadership team. Great product managers can pivot. They can talk at a level of their audience from one meeting, from one conversation to the next. They can share the vision and the details, depending on which is most applicable at the time. This is not an easy thing to do, but the great product managers constantly work on that skill. Okay, the fourth truth of great product managers is that they are good business people. The product manager role is ultimately a role that is responsible for driving business results. We must be able to understand the financial, operational, cultural, and strategic impacts of our decisions, recommendations, and actions. Business acumen includes a knowledge of important business functions like finance, operations, sales, and the ability to leverage that knowledge to make business decisions. Knowing how a particular decision will impact your product's costs or how it may have downstream effects on the manufacturing process are critical when you're determining which things should be done. To fully appreciate the impact of a decision, you must have a keen understanding of your product's financials and operations. You need not be an expert on these functions, but a certain level of acuity is important. In addition to understanding the impacts of your product's business, you need to also understand how well a decision aligns with your product strategy and your organizational strategy. Will this decision or this action help you move your strategic goals forward? If so, how? If not, why not? If it doesn't move your product towards its goal, and if your product isn't helping move your organization towards its goals, then that is likely an indicator that you should decide against that particular idea. Great product managers tie all of this together. They're able to look at the multifaceted impacts that their actions take. The fifth and final truth of great product managers: they are fanatical about prioritizing their time and effort. Product managers are inundated with information and data and requests, and not all of it is material to our current problem at hand or should be prioritized and take attention away from other efforts fairly quickly and make decisions fairly quickly about what's important. There's a saying that's applicable here: sort the wheat from the chaff. In agriculture, the chaff is the husk around a seed. In crops like wheat, the seed is typically what humans eat, so there's this process of removing the chaff to get to the valuable seed. Sorting the wheat from the chaff has become a saying to mean being able to distinguish the meaningful from the worthless, which is an exceptionally valuable skill for product managers. The greatest product managers adeptly couple their customer intelligence and their business acuity to help them make prioritization decisions. How should they be spending their time, and what actions should they take? What features do they put in? What functionality? Which opportunities do we pursue based on all of the information that we have and the most important data and information that comes in? We then rely on our relationships and our communication skills to ensure that everybody knows the why. Why are we prioritizing this? Why are we deprioritizing something? That is really an important skill. Number one, product managers know how to first prioritize, and they're incredibly intentional about making sure they're doing the right things at the right time. Doesn't mean they're always going to get it right, but they're constantly striving to be able to accurately prioritize their time and their effort. So, to summarize, the 5 immutable truths of product managers are: they have an extremely high level of customer intelligence. They are experts at building relationships. They're master communicators. They're good business people, and they're fanatical about prioritizing their time and efforts. I hope you can start to see how these 5 truths are really a lattice work of foundational skills that product managers can draw upon as they go through their complex work streams. So no matter where you are in your journey as a product manager, if you continuously work on these 5 skills and perfecting these skills, I promise you These foundational traits and truths will help you so much in everything that you do as a product manager. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks. I am JJ Rory, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Masters of Product Management, powered by Sequent Learning Networks. If you'd like to take your career to the next level with additional tools, training, coaching, and books, be sure to visit Sequent Learning Networks at sequentlearning.com.